Mr. Chairman, Reverend Eves, Mr. Cathy, honored members of Board of Trustees, distinguished faculty members. Get ready, you students. You know what I'm talking about. Members of the student body, but particularly on this solemn and special occasion, I feel a special kinship with our first-year students, the class of 2013. That's the last time I'll bother you with that. Thank you. Centenary College will define church-related liberal arts education for the 21st century. Centenary College will define church-related liberal arts education for the 21st century. Meditate on that, if you will, for just a moment. Think about the bold and challenging statement that I have just issued, and reflect on the 185-year history of this institution, and tell me if there is an institution better equipped in the United States of America to stand up and define what church-related liberal arts education for the 21st century can and ought to be. Much has been spoken over the course of the last several years about how this world is changing, about how higher education is changing, and most recently, about how Centenary College is changing. But we have a solemn duty to these students gathered here and to the world in which you will lead and serve, to equip you to lead in the 21st century. And we, on this side of the room, are gathered here because we believe with all of our hearts and with all of our minds that a church-related liberal arts education is exactly what you need to thrive in the 21st century. If we are going to understand how Centenary College will change, or how higher education is changing, we must first understand a few of the perplexing challenges that we have in the 21st century. Right now, there are roughly 6.5 billion people in the world. The Center for Strategic and International Studies, a bipartisan think tank in Washington, D.C., estimates that by the year 2050, that number will increase to 9 billion. And it's not just the quantity of people that we need to be thinking about. It's where they're living and how they're distributed across this planet. You may not have noticed, but in the year 2007, we came across a marker point in this world's history. Since 2007, more people live in urban environments than in rural environments. And it's not New York. It's not LA. It's not Dallas. And it's not Shreveport. It is in urban environments that do not have the infrastructure to care for that sort of density of population. Maybe more striking when you think about over the course of the next 3 decades. Population trends will see migration closer and closer to the coastlines of the countries around the world. On the face of it, you think, yeah, everybody wants some beachfront property, right? But they will be living within 60 miles of hurricanes, typhoons, tsunamis, and floods. The world is changing. There will be more people in the world to lead, to know, and to understand. There will be more people in the world with whom we must share the precious few resources with which God has entrusted us. By the year 2020, the population of India will have a demand for fresh, clean drinking water that will exceed its supply. By the year 2020, 7 years after you graduate Centenary College, the economy in which you will work and live and lead is changing too. Brazil, Russia, India, and China are seeing economic growth that will cause them to rival, if not surpass, North America, Western Europe, and Japan. And you might think that that's great for the part of the world that we have known for so long as the developing world. But just as their gross domestic products are increasing, so too are their populations. And so the distribution of the wealth of that global economic engine will roughly stay the same, or see disparities exaggerate. The wealthiest 225 people in the world steward more resources than the poorest 2.7 billion people in the world, who subsist on less than $2 a day. But our ability to deal with this rapidly changing world is increasing at a fast pace too. Technology is changing more rapidly than we could ever imagine. In fact, the people on this side of the room might be surprised to know that the people on this side of the room have lived their lives always with flat-screen TVs. It has never been the case that the people on this side of the room, according to Beloit College, have not been able to access a book on a screen. Britney Spears has always been played on classic rock stations for the class of 2013. No wonder we like the classics so much. We're quickly becoming ancient history ourselves. We have to pay attention to the technological changes that are shaping our world as well. By 2015, 80% of the technology that we knew in 2007 will be obsolete. Scientists are taking technology and biotechnology to the molecular level. What kinds of questions will this pose for our leaders of tomorrow? Ethical questions, moral questions about privacy, about what it means to be human, and what it means to live in this world. The challenges that you face in the 21st century are different than the challenges that we faced in the 20th century. We will need you to be wise, but not only to be wise, we need you to be ethical, moral leaders in this world.